Look, I've been using Rugiet's testosterone program for a few weeks now, and there's stuff I wish someone had told me before I signed up. And by the way, I found a discount link after I already paid full price. It's a pain, I know. I added it to the description so you don't have to make the same mistake that I did. And it saves you up to 15%. So anyway, here's why I even looked into this. I'd been feeling off for probably a year or more right now, and it wasn't like I was broken, it just dulled. Energy was inconsistent, motivation was low, and my sex drive had quietly disappeared. It just tanked. I kept blaming it on stress or sleep, but after a while, you start wondering if something else is going on. I'd look at a few other telehealth options before landing on Rugiet, and most of them felt like they were going to hand me a prescription without really knowing what was wrong. Rugiet felt different, and I'll explain why in a second. But first, the thing that actually surprised me most wasn't the treatment itself. It was what happened before anything was prescribed. You see, you start with a lab and a doctor call. Real blood work, a licensed doctor reviews your hormone levels, looks at your symptoms, and tells you what your situation actually is. Now, I wasn't expecting that level of process from a telehealth platform. Most guys assume these services just ask a few questions and ship you something, right? Survey and then shipping. This isn't that. And honestly, just getting the labs done was eye-opening on its own. I'd been brushing off how I was feeling for a long time. Seeing the actual numbers, it made it real. Now, here's something I didn't know going in. Rugiet offers two completely different treatment paths, and which one you get depends entirely on what your labs show. The first is called Enclomiphene. It signals your body to produce its own testosterone rather than replacing it from the outside. It preserves fertility, which matters if you're younger or still thinking about kids. It worked for me in terms of energy and mood with the first few weeks. But here's where it gets more nuanced. It only works if your body still has the ability to produce testosterone on its own. If it doesn't, then this path won't do much for you. That's something the doctor call figures out. But on the other hand, the second path is actual testosterone replacement. And this is the part I didn't realize before. You don't have to inject. There's an oral capsule, a topical cream, and injectable options depending on what your doctor recommends, or even what you want. And that surprised me. A lot of guys avoid this conversation entirely because they picture weekly injections as the only option. But nowadays, it's not. And what I noticed over the first few weeks was gradual. Energy started coming back first, then motivation. The stuff that had quietly disappeared started feeling more like baseline again. It wasn't a dramatic overnight shift. It was more like slowly feeling like myself again without being able to point to one specific moment when it changed. The lab first model is what made this feel different from everything else I looked at. You're not guessing, you're not getting upsold on something based on a symptom checklist. A doctor looks at your actual numbers, figures out which path fits your situation, and builds a plan around that. Ongoing labs and oversight are part of it too, which means adjustments get made based on real data as you go. So who is this actually for? Well, if you've been feeling off and brushing it off the way I was, low energy, low drive, just not yourself, maybe cranky, and you want to find out what's actually going on before trying anything, this is a legitimate place to start. The process takes a little longer than just ordering something online, but that's also what makes it more credible. So if you want something fast with zero medical involvement, well, this isn't for you. But if you do decide to try Rugiet's TRT for yourself, go ahead, hit that link in the description below because it saves you up to 15% off. Now, getting the labs done alone was worth it just to finally know where I stood.